See a lot of familiar faces. Well, not a lot because there's not a lot here, but I see familiar faces, which is great. So, question. Who in here feels stuck? Or who in here ever feels like they've been stuck? Like they just can't, they have goals, they have dreams, they have wishes, but you just can't take that step. You just can't make that move. Well, that's what this is all about. My job here tonight, my only job here tonight is to help people get unstuck. I want people to get moving. And here's the beautiful thing is, some of the faces in here I see have started doing things and started businesses not too long ago and have done really well. And I'm proud to see that, I see them and it's a great thing. And it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you come from. But there's a lot of circumstances that help people get stuck sometimes. And sometimes it's because of fear of failure, fear of success, fear of change. Sometimes we get stuck because we don't think we deserve it. Sometimes we get stuck because of where we come from. And we don't realize that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where you come from. You deserve to get unstuck. But all you got to do is just start. Just start. But that's the hardest part. That first step is the hardest one. I think it's Dr. King that says you don't have to see the whole staircase. All you have to see is the first step. It's actually in your Bible too, in your Book of Mormon, in your Quran. God will shine the light at your feet. He will shine the light at your feet and show you that first step. He doesn't show you the destination because we all have our agency and we can turn around, we can quit, we can do whatever, but he does show us that next step. But you got to be brave enough to take that next step. I come from a place where I'm not going to say I wasn't deserving, but I come from a place where, this is sort of out of the norm. I come from a place where we grew up on welfare. We were so broke. It was me, my mom, my sister. We didn't have running water in our house. We had to walk down the street with a little red wagon and go get buckets of water from my grandmother's house and bring those buckets of water back home. And then at night, in the mornings, my mom would fill up a basin with that water and she would put it on the stove. I remember lighting the 4 burners. She would light those 4 burners and heat up that water. After that water was heated up, my sister would get in and take a bath. And then after she got done, then I would get in and take a bath in her dirty water. Imagine that. But that's the way it was. That's the way it was. That was just the way we had to live. I remember some nights when I called it camping. My mother would light our kerosene heater. I know some of y'all know what kerosene heaters. Y'all old as me, y'all old enough to know what a kerosene heater is. But she would light up the kerosene heater and she would put a pot of water on that kerosene heater and warm that water up. And we would sit around in the dark with just that kerosene heater and she would tell us stories. And she would pour some sugar in that water and we would drink sugar water while she told stories while we sat around the kerosene heater. I called it camping. Best time of my life. When I was about 30, 35, my mom came out here to visit me. And I'm telling the story to my kids about how we used to camp in the front yard with mom and this and that. In the front room with mom and everything else. And then she pulled me to the side one day and she said, you do realize that we had no food. We had no electricity. We had no heat. And I was like, nah, I had no idea. Had no idea. I thought we were just camping. Thought it was a good time. What are some other reasons? I want some participation here. What are some other reasons we feel like we get stuck? What are some other reasons we get stuck? Anybody? Yes, sir.
Listening to others around us.
Yep. Listen to others around us, the naysayers. The noise. You got to block that noise out. But yeah, sometimes that happens, and especially once you get moving. Especially once you get moving, then that's when that noise comes in, and that's when all that everything else comes at you. But like I say, dogs don't chase parked cars. They don't chase parked cars. So when you're moving, that's when it will come after you. That's when it will come for you. So you just got to keep pushing through. Turn this a little bit. Some other things. Your past don't determine your future. Like I said, we need to start living our purpose. I'm going to say this again, but I'm going to say it right now. 80% of the people in the world, about 80% of the people of the world do what they have to do to get by. About 20% do what they love to do or do what they like to do. My grandmother used to tell me that find something you love to do, learn how to make money at it or make a living at it, and you don't work a day in your life. I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but I do love what I do. I do love what I do, but sometimes it is work. Sometimes it is work. People's opinion of you isn't your business. So who cares what anybody has to say? That's that noise I'm talking about. People's opinion of you, none of your business. So who cares what they got to say? Do what you have to do. You know, where I'm from, we get a little thing sometimes called survivor's remorse. Survivor's remorse, where you make it out of the hood, and some people don't make it out of the hood. They're still there. And it's a shame, but sometimes they don't want to see you do good. And you feel bad because you are doing good and they're not. So you get a little survivor's remorse. That happens sometimes. It happens a lot to military members who, when they lose somebody in combat, and you're sitting around wondering, why wasn't it me? Why not me? Why did I have to lose my friend? That's survivor's remorse, you know. But it happens sometimes. So you got to choose your friends wisely. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes they want to see you fail. So choose your friends wisely. Plus, you want to choose people that are going in the same direction you're going. Choose people that are moving where you want to go. One time I went back home, and I took a friend with me. He was a financial advisor, and he was giving my family some great lessons on finances and everything else. And I'm not going to put anybody's name out there, but he was giving some great lessons on finances. And one of the people in the group that he was talking to, now this guy was making, I think he was making like $80,000 a month or something like that. So he's talking, and one of the people in there, after he gave them this advice, she looked over to her son, who was an alcoholic, and she said, "Do you think he knows what he's talking about?" She asked somebody who's never been where she's trying to go if this guy is giving sound advice. Doesn't make sense. Choose people that you have around you. Choose them wisely. Plan your work your plan. A goal without a plan, no. We were talking about that today, huh? We were talking about that today. If you don't have a plan and you don't have a goal and you don't have a plan, you're like a ship in the ocean with no dock. You're just out there floating around, nowhere to go. So have a plan and work that plan. And then here's the number one for me. Your why. Your why has to be bigger than your obstacles, because you're always going to come across obstacles. You're going to come across obstacles, things that are going to prevent you from going where you want to go. But they really don't prevent you. What really prevents you is what you have up here. It's what you have up here. You can get through that. But your why has to be bigger than that obstacle. What's that quote that I have at the gym? If you want it bad enough, you'll make a way. If not, you'll make an excuse. That's just the way it is. No excuses. No excuses. You got to keep challenging yourself. If something doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Now, one thing that I used in my military career, what I do now, and everything else, I call them my Knight's Armor principles. These principles I use to keep me going, to get me motivated, and everything else. These are the principles that I use to help me start Rage Fitness, Salute Supplements, and the kickball tournament, and the youth boot camp that I'm doing, and everything else. I just use these principles. They help me to take that step forward and get out and do things where I'm not comfortable. Because when you stay in your comfort zone, there's no growth there. You're not living when you're in your comfort zone. You got to get out of that comfort zone. So one of those things is keep challenging yourself. If something doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And life is all about making changes. If you change nothing, nothing will change. If you want something different to happen, you got to do something different. So challenge yourself. Push yourself. Do something you haven't done before. There you go. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the naysayers. Those are the people. And here's the thing about the naysayers. Here's the thing about the naysayers. It's not that they really don't think that you can't do it. It's just that they can't. They can't do it. So they project that onto you. So don't listen to the naysayers. Sometimes we're given gifts. We're given gifts. And my grandmother used to say, God will give you a gift. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. And if you're given something, sometimes people around you don't understand because they weren't given that. So they're not going to understand it. But if it was given to you, sometimes you just have to shut your mouth, put your head down, and work. And don't stop, don't come up to breathe until you're there. Sometimes you have to do that because when you start telling people, it takes someone seven times to say something to you. I think that's the number. About 7 times to say something to you where you will actually start believing it. And then to come out of that, you need to hear it quite a few times just to come out of that and start believing it again. So sometimes you can't tell people. You can't tell people because they don't understand. It wasn't given to them. It was given to you. So don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the naysayers. You know, when here's the big one right here. Sometimes people will see something in you. And I saw this with me. I've been asked to speak quite a few times at detention centers, schools, for teens, for this, for that, I don't know. And I've been asked to speak at these things, and every time I speak at them, people say, oh man, Kenny, you've done a great job, this and that, or whatever. We want you to come speak here, we want you to come speak there. And I do it. But I still didn't believe that I was a good speaker. Sometimes the people around you, and this is where you can do this to yourself, sometimes people around you are telling you where your gift is. They're telling you where your gift is. And the only one that doesn't believe it is you. And that's why it's important that it's important how you talk to yourself. If you say negative things about yourself, just don't do it. But if you say negative things about yourself, you will start believing those things about yourself. There's a saying, what is that? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. If you think you can't, I had people that, Kenny, they tell me that at the gym, Kenny, I can't lift that. I'm like, yeah, I know. Not because I really think they can't lift it, but because they said it. And if they said it, then that's what they think. Yeah, you can't lift it. And then I call them weak and everything else. You know what I call people. You know, it's fun. It's fun. I'm sorry. I'll be playing, but yeah, when you got to be careful what you say to yourself, how you talk to yourself. So, so positive, always positive. Look at yourself in the mirror and say positive things to yourself. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. When you invest in yourself, you not only make your life better, you make everybody else around you better. You make other people around you better. When I say invest in yourself, I'm talking about eating right. I'm talking about reading. I'm talking about exercising. I'm talking about taking that step, just starting. Invest in yourself. You were given something and you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to go out and get it. You owe it to us to go out and get it. You owe it to me to go out and get it. Because I guarantee you, if you're happy with what you're doing, you're going to be a better friend to me. You're going to be a better father to your children, a better husband, a better wife, a better mother. Because you'll be living your purpose. You got to speak it, put in the work, and watch it happen. You can't just ask for it. You can't just ask for it and then sit on your behind. You got to go out and do something. I remember when I got out of the military, I had 2 heavy bags and 4 medicine balls. 2 heavy bags and 4 medicine balls. And I rented a place out in Saratoga and another one in Cedar Hills. I rented a room. It was costing me $50 every time I used that room. One month, I had 4 people at the boot camp in Saratoga. I had 1 or 2 out here in Cedar Hills. I couldn't afford to keep going back and forth just to train those little people with those little amount of people with just that money. So sometimes, if I had to travel from one to the other, I would just stay in the parking lot the whole day. I stay in the parking lot, I eat pretzels, I sleep in the back of my Suburban, watch Scooby-Doo or some kind of trash like that, and just did whatever I did whatever I could just to pass the time, because I couldn't afford to go from here to there and then back home. But I had to put in that work. I would take my kids and I would make flyers, some little cheap flyers, black and whites, get some rubber bands, some staples, staple them together, park along the streets, put the big kids on one side of the street, the small kids on the side with me, and we just started walking up and down the streets, putting flyers on people's houses, on people's cars, on windows, just wherever. But you got to put in that work. You have to take those steps. That's the only way it's going to happen. You gotta take the steps. You gotta just start. But that's how you invest in yourself. And like I said, you owe it to yourself. Goals. Set goals. Set goals. And then aim for them. And like I said, don't stop until you get there. Goals is what can keep you going. I remember when I had done some stuff and got in trouble. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I had done some stuff. I got in trouble. And my mom, no, not my mom. We had driven to Delaware, me and some of my friends. I was 14 years old. My friends were older than me, Kevin and Tony. Oh, I just put them on there. Hope nobody at home sees this. Yeah. But I'm 14 years old. I have a little 25 pistol on me. Kevin and Tony have a 38. We are driving in Kevin's little truck. All 3 of us crammed in the front. I'm sitting in the middle because I'm the littlest one. They're like 18, 19, and I'm 14. We're out the window, shooting the guns up in the air and everything else as we're riding through the streets. We get to Delaware to my friend's girlfriend's house, and he decides to go in. Now we're drinking what we used to call piss beer. We're drinking Milwaukee's Best. Yeah, you can get a whole case for like $2.49. You know what I mean? And we're drinking this beer. We call it piss beer because you get about every 5 minutes you have to stop and pee. All right. So we're drinking this beer, and we go to this girl's house, and Kevin decides to go in. He goes in, and before we know it, this guy comes running out the house. Don't know who he was, but he comes running out. Boom. And it was my friend's girlfriend. her house. Me and Tony hears thumping and stuff like that going on. So we decide to, go see what's going on. Tony, being the smart one, he went and stood beside the front door. I stood in front of it, just like this. I'm 14, I don't know any better. I got my little pistol out and everything else. Next thing you know, boom, hand comes through the window, hits me in the side of my face, glasses in my ear and all this kind of stuff. My friend Kevin, he wound up getting a bunch of stitches in his arm that night. When I got home, after we went to the hospital, he got his stitches and they cleaned my ear up or whatever. When I got home, it's about 3 or 4 in the morning. My mom's sitting at the table and she's waiting for me. And she's like, Sam, what are you going to do with your life? Sam is me, okay? She always called me Sam. Don't ask why. My name is Kenny, I know. She said, Sam, what are you going to do with your life? I said, Mom, I don't know. I said, but if I stay here, I'll be dead by 21. Why? Because that was statistic back home. Young black men dead by 21. She said, so what you going to do? And I told her, I said, I want to go in the Marine Corps because my cousin Squeeze had gone in the Marine Corps. And he always talked about these grunts and how hard they were. He said, so I was like, I want to go in the Marine Corps. I told her I wanted to be a grunt. I told her I wanted to be a drill instructor because he always talked about the drill instructors and how hard they were. They wore that round brown hat and that Smokey the Bear hat and so on and so forth. And they were mean. And then I told her, and I wanted to retire by the time I was 37. Didn't know how I was going to do it. But I somehow knew. And I had to take the steps. And after different trials and tribulations in my life, I did. I went in the Marine Corps at 17 as an infantry guy, like I wanted to. So I was a grunt. A few years later, I became a drill instructor. After a couple combat tours, I was a drill instructor, and I retired at 37. I did it all. I had goals. Didn't know how I was going to get there, but I got there. But I had to take the steps. So always set goals. And then you got to do the hard work. The hard work is when you don't want to, when you feel like you don't want to. The hard work is getting up at 3:30 every morning. I get up at 3:30 every morning and I'm happy to go to the gym. But that's the hard work. That's the part where people, Kenny, how you get up at 3:30? Why you get up at 3:30 or whatever? Hey, it's peaceful at that time. And my drive down here is really cool. Nobody's on the road. But that's the hard work. That's part of it. That's part of the sacrifice. The hard work is that first step. The hard work, like I said, is the discipline. Doing what you're supposed to be doing and doing it with enthusiasm, even when you don't want to do it, even when you don't feel like doing it. The hard work is doing the other stuff. When I'm at the gym, of course I get to work out. I get to hang out with some cool people. I get to talk and we tell stories and we laugh and we joke. But then I got to change the water sometimes, which is the hard work. That's the stuff that I don't like to keep up on. I got to do some of the admin stuff. Cody keeps up on the water for me though. But I got to do some of the admin stuff. I got to do some of the admin stuff that I don't like to do. I gotta run to the bank. I got to go to the post office. I got to do this, do that. I got to advertise. I got to do social media. I'm not good at it. I suck at it. But it's part of the work. It's doing the hard work, doing those things that you don't want to do, but you're doing with enthusiasm. But that's the part. That's how you accomplish that mission. You got to put in that hard work. And hard work, I want to touch on this. Hard work is one of those things where it I don't know the word, but it's like it accumulates. So I don't care if you're working at McDonald's or you're working at Burger King or if you're working at here and there or whatever. And it's not the job that you want. It still compounds. That's the word I was looking for. It still compounds. So you put in the work, hard work here, hard work here, hard work here. When you get over there and you're where you want to be, that hard work still counted. It still counted because you did the hard work that you had to do to get where you were, or where you are. That hard work counts. So no matter where you are, put in the hard work. It all counts. It compounds. Take action. This is a big one for me. Because a goal without action is just an idea. It's a wish. It's a dream. That's all it is, without action. 3 kinds of people in this world. Those that watch things happen, those that talk about things happening, and then those that make things happen. Be the one that makes things happen. I always say this, I'm going to say it again, but the cemetery is the wealthiest place in the world. Because there's a lot of people that have gone before us that have taken their dreams, their wishes, their goals, and they have died with them. Because they were afraid to take action, or something prevented them from taking action. Something prevented them from starting. Most of the time it's fear. Most of the time, fear of failure. Most of the time it's fear of success. Sometimes it's fear of change. The beautiful thing about failure is that when you fail, you're closer to your successes. Every time you fail, you're getting closer and closer to your successes. If you look at the stairway to success, failure's in there quite a few times. If you're not failing, you're not trying. So don't be afraid to fail. Look for the fails. Most successful people will tell you fail fast and fail often. That means you're steadily trying. Fail fast and fail often. And then stay committed. Stay committed. When after we opened up Rage Fitness, we had there were some hard times. We had already gone through the struggles of not making enough money, and just putting in the time and putting in the effort and so on and so forth. But like I said, that hard work compounds. But after we got the place open, we got our first brick and mortar, we got sued. $650,000. I lost everything. Lost my house, lost our cars, lost everything. So we packed up everything. Me and the wifey, we packed up our kids, moved to American Fork, got a home there, rented a house there. Then we packed up the gym, rented some warehouse, a cheaper warehouse, and just kept on going. Started all over and kept on going. And eventually we persevered and we came out on the other side. But it's because we stayed committed. See, like I said, dogs don't chase parked cars. When you're where you're supposed to be and you're being challenged, and you're winning, you're going to be challenged. You're going to be challenged. You're going to have setbacks. Things are going to happen. People are going to say things. Things are going to go wrong. So on and so forth. So I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm not telling you it's easy to start something and go for it. I'm just telling you that's what you need to do. But be prepared. Things do happen. Things are going to happen. But when things happen like that, that lets me know, hey, I'm in the right place. I'm where I need to be. I was telling Liz the other day, I was like, the gym doesn't scare me anymore. My gym doesn't scare me anymore. For about 10, 15 years, every Monday morning, it only happens on Monday mornings. I wake up Monday mornings, I'm a little terrified. Like, man, Kenny, do you know what you're doing? Do you know how to run a gym? Do you know how to, do you know how to do this? Do you get it? And then after I'm there for a while, then things settle down and I start feeling good and everything else. But I don't get that anymore. I wasn't getting that anymore. So I was like, hey, I need to do something. I need to do something that scares me. I need to do something that scares me. So about 3 weeks ago, I was looking on YouTube, and I was like, speaking. I like speaking. And it's something that I do often anyway. I was like, how do I get to be a speaker? And one guy on there, he said 3 little simple things. He said, write a talk. Did that. He said, have a, what he said? Oh yeah, he said, speak often and speak everywhere. I'm like, I already do that. And then he said, set up your own events. That very day, I came over here and I reserved this building. As soon as I saw that, I came over here and reserved this building. And then I was like, uh-oh, now I need to get to work because I don't have nothing together. But I'm scared again, and I love it. You got to challenge yourself. You got to challenge yourself. Stay committed, people. Attitude. Attitude's everything. If you don't like something, change your attitude about it. If you don't like something the way it is, change your attitude about it. Your attitude determines your altitude. Attitude is doing something, like I said, enthusiastically, even when you don't want to do it. That's attitude. Choose a good one. Choose a good one. Let me see. Well, I guess I covered that one, huh? Attitude is the key, though. You know, once you own it, I'm talking about your failures as well as your successes. Once you own it, then that's when you will become successful. And I'm talking about when you start and you get out there and you go through your ups and downs. You go through your ups and downs. When you own those downs, instead of saying this didn't work because of this or this didn't work because of that, you know every time you point that finger out, 3 fingers are pointing back at yourself. When you're doing that, you're not owning it. Once you start owning it, then you will start looking at yourself. And then you'll stop making excuses. But then you can also own the successes. You can start owning the successes. When I was, I think I was 11. And my dad was a womanizer. And he used to take me over his girlfriend's house all the time. His different girlfriends' houses. And one night we were going over to one of his girlfriend's houses and we're crossing the bridge. And I knew that my dad had been drinking because he drank quite often. And I knew he had been drinking. But he always drunk and drive. So, I'm 11, I'm riding with dad. Who cares? And he swerves. And right as he swerved, the lights came on. Siren sounded, lights came on. And I'm not going to say what he said, but he basically cursed at me. And then he said, you were supposed to be paying attention. And I wore that for a long time. He made that my responsibility. And I wore that for a long time. That was my fault that he got his first DUI. It wasn't until I got older, that I realized that wasn't my fault. That wasn't my responsibility. That was his responsibility. And it may have even been after I had kids. I'm not sure. But I learned that I do really believe there was the Marine Corps that taught me that, because you're never right in the Marine Corps. Everything's your fault. I learned that, everything is your fault. So I learned that, hey, that was not my responsibility. But now I can own them. I don't mind owning my responsibilities now. I don't mind owning my faults. I don't blame others for when I fail, but I also don't blame others for when I succeed. I acknowledge when I've got help. I acknowledge when I've gotten a hand. But I don't mind recognizing that I wasn't afraid to take the steps necessary to get where I wanted to go. So if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then recognize that is your responsibility. That's yours, nobody else's. Nobody can do it for you. Motivation and discipline. It takes motivation to start something. It takes discipline to complete it. And discipline is, like I said before, doing those things you don't want to do, but doing them anyway, doing them with enthusiasm. Discipline is, like I said, getting up at 0:30 in the morning. Discipline is, y'all know what discipline is, but discipline is doing those hard things. It's doing those hard things. If you don't want to do something, you get up and you do it anyway. There it is. You get up and you do it anyway. That's that discipline. And then think outside the box. What's up, Cody? Think outside the box. We always admire those that are different. We admire the ones that are different, but yet we try to do the same things that others are doing. Think outside the box. Do something different. I remember when we opened up Rage Fitness, at that same time, there were some CrossFit gyms that opened up, and so on and so forth. I think around that same time, there were like 7 or 8 gyms that opened up right here in Lehigh. Within 10 years, all of them were gone. They got new CrossFit gyms and so on and so forth, but those other ones, they're all gone. But Rage was different. Rage was a little bit different. But you got to think outside the box. You can't be afraid. People will laugh at you first. They will laugh at you. They will wonder what's on your mind. This won't work, so on and so forth. And then once you make it work, then they'll ask you, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? So don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to be a little different. If you do the same thing everybody else does, that road is crowded. It's a crowded road. So take a different path. Be different. Just start. Just start. Start living your purpose. Start living your dreams. Start living your wishes. Start living your goals. The way you do that is you release the brakes. you release the brakes. Take your foot off the brake and just go. Now, I'm not telling you stop doing what you're already doing, especially if it's, making your living and everything else. I don't want y'all come in here fired the next day. Kenny told me stop doing this. No. I'm just telling you, while you're doing this, start doing what you want to do. Start doing what you want to do. Just start. Remember I said, I'm going to say this again. Here it is. 80% of the people doing stuff that they have to do. 20% of the people do what they want to do. Imagine if that was switched around. You know, what I've talked about today, some of the things I talked about was not just stories. It was about going from bad to good, from hard to easy, and so on and so forth. And I know some of you all are ready, but some of you all still are on the fence and not ready to make that step, not ready to take that step. That's where coaching comes into play. A coach, though, will be there not to tell you what to do, but to walk with you as you go through the hard things and help guide you as you go through the hard things, help you go through the fire. I hope y'all got something from this today. I hope you're ready to take that step. I hope you're ready to get out of your comfort zone and not be afraid of a little discomfort. And I hope you all just start. Anybody have anything for me? Good. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And that's all I have for you. All right? Thank you.